Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Y'all, summer has officially decided to roar in with a massive heat wave that is going to hit us this coming week. We are going to be pushing actual temperatures up into the hundreds. There's no telling what the actual, feel like temperature will be with the heat, the humidity, and then the dew point here in the southeast. So what we are going to do is take a note of this upcoming heat wave because it is going to change the way that I garden this coming week. We're going to walk through the gardens today, and I am going to share with you how I am going to prepare my gardens and myself for this heat wave. What am I doing and what am I not doing? Let's go. Obviously, a heat wave is not something that has never occurred before. This is a very normal process that happens just about every summer throughout the time of history, right? But as gardeners, we just want to take note of this and maybe tweak what we are doing in the garden. Now, y'all, just because a heat wave is coming does not mean that we have to be outside killing ourselves all day. No, we do not. During a heat wave, it is really important to prioritize what you're going to be giving your attention to. What I am not going to be giving my attention to are my mature shrubs that have been here for years and are very well established. Case in point, my double plate doozy spireas and my incredible hydrangeas. These plants are very well established and I am not going to worry about them. I'm not going to give them supplemental water. We are just going to allow them to be. I will tell you, because I always like to give full disclosure, this bed is on drip irrigation. I have thick red clay soil. This runs once a day for about 15 minutes early in the morning. You will notice that here in the morning, everybody is nice and perky. My doozies, they're gorgeous, right? They have got even putting out some new buds. My incredibles are kind of on the end of being like in their prime, right? But you'll notice that their leaves, they're not limp, they're not wilted. And so they are doing really well. Another note, y'all, for your annuals. Down here, we have got some sun patience. Sun patience definitely can take the full sun, as their name suggests. And here in the morning, they are nice and happy and perky. Yesterday afternoon, they were a little limp. Not completely wilted down, but they were definitely showing some signs of some heat stress. It is important to keep in mind that when a plant has been in the sun all day, especially when we're having like record-breaking temperatures, it is completely normal to have heat wilt. Just like Jenny, the gardener. I'm out in the garden all day, and by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I too have heat wilt. That simply means that the plant has been in the sun all day. It is absorbing all of that sun. Notice that the sun patients, they had a little bit of a darker foliage. Hence, as we know, darker colors absorb that heat more. And so they're just hot. That's just their way of saying, you know what? I am hot. If you come back the next morning and everybody is perky and happy, and or you wait until the sun goes off that plant, give it an hour or so, and if it perks back up, then it is good to go. So just because a plant is showing signs of some stress as far as the leaves are getting a little limp, that does not necessarily mean that it needs water. So if they are well-established shrubs, trees, perennials, annuals, typically that means that you're not going to have to pay a ton of attention to them. Yes, they probably need some little water every once in a while, especially if it's not raining, but that is not something that you're going to come out here and water every single day as far as, you know, just shooting it with water. I am not going to be shooting water on these sun patients every single day. They're not on drip. I'll probably do it every 3 days or so. What are we going to pay attention to? We are going to pay attention to those newly planted trees, shrubs, and perennials. What do I mean when I say a newly planted tree, shrub, perennial, annual? In my book, I'm going to say it has been in the ground less than a year. Now, less than a year, it could be like this flower bed. We're about to hit that 1 year mark, or it could be that you planted a new container last week, right? So those are the ones we're going to focus on. For me, in this flower bed, not on irrigation, it gets sun till about, depends on in the bed, but it gets morning sun. Thank goodness we have a cloudy day right now. I am paying attention really to my hydrangeas because they get some really good sun till about maybe like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Here I have my Let's Dance Skyview hydrangeas. Do you see how like happy they are right now? They are perky. I've got new buds coming out. My leaves are nice and fluffy and well hydrated. You can see, however, that some of those older blooms are showing some signs where they had gotten hot. So in the afternoon, it is very, very common for these Let's Dance Skyviews to go ahead and have heat wilt. But the next morning when they're nice and perky, then I know that they are okay. And I don't have to sit here and saturate them with tons of water every single day. So there you go. Anything that's been in less than a year, especially your trees, your shrubs, your perennials, pay close attention to those and walk your garden if you can, preferably in the morning. If you can't walk it as you're driving out to go to work or wherever it is that you're going, slow the car down, take a gander and look at it. Assess your garden. You know, I'm all about showing you the messes and the successes. Let me show you a prime example of a plant that's screaming, I need water, because, you know, keeping it real here. I have 2 terracotta pots here at the base of the Electra Blue. I have got some angel face white angelonia. Can you see that they are absolutely screaming that they need water? Here we are at like 8:30 in the morning. It is a cloudy morning and they are already wilted. This says, if you don't water me today ASAP, then I may not make it through the day and it is going to be rough for me. Now, I have found as a side note that the terracotta pots, they are going to dry out a lot quicker than like a glazed pot. So pay attention to those. Also, I have a, it's like an empty wine bottle with a terracotta insert that goes into the soil that helps keep the moisture in the pot level. You will notice that my bottle is empty. So guess what I'm getting ready to do right now? We're gonna take care of that. Without a doubt, my #1 top priority in this upcoming heat wave are my newly planted shrubs. Newly planted is all relative, my friends. It could be that it's only a couple of weeks old, like the Southern Living Plant Collection shrubs that we have here in the berm, or it could be that yours newly planted were 6 months ago, less than a year ago. These are going to be those plants, those shrubs that have not been in the ground, I would say, for a year. These are the ones we want to keep a very close eye on. Why? Well, one, it's just the financial investment, right? Because shrubs tend to be more expensive than your annuals and your perennials. These are the ones we're going for long-term success. Keep a tight, close eye on them. What are we looking for? What we want to see with our newly planted shrubs, specifically I'm thinking about hydrangeas, because let's just be honest, they tend to be divas in the garden. In this space, we have these beautiful white wedding hydrangeas, and look at this. This is a happy plant. I am not concerned about this plant at all. It's got perky, fluffy leaves. We've got flowers that are coming out. We've got some new buds that are coming out. All is well, doing great, not worried about this one at all. Then we come to this one. This one is in the full sun, and you can tell Struggle bus. It is happening for sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to investigate. So clearly she's going to need more water than what she is getting. So you can see that the root ball is planted a little bit high, which is good. We need that. But notice that there's not really any mulch around this shrub. When it got planted, the mulch just did not get put back, and so it is dry right there. And so I need to go in here and investigate, because I can see that there is drip tubing around it, but did it get all the way up close to this hydrangea? So when the irrigation comes on once a day for a couple of minutes, about, I think it's 20 minutes because these are new plants, is it getting the water? Also, I can come back and add mulch compost around this, but get water on these during this heat wave. It may mean that during the heat wave that I have got to water these hydrangeas every day that are in the full hot sun, that are showing some signs of stress. So paying attention to my newly planted shrubs, top priority. While we're in here, what am I not going to worry about? I am not going to worry about in the least bit about my perennial hibiscus. Been here for years, they're fine. My trees, they've been here for years. Totally fine, my friends. Of course, we have got the buddleias. We have got the pink cascade tube. I have got camellias. I have got pufferfish that is coming into all of her glory. And then I have got my golden Oakland holly down here, my North Pole arborvitaes. All of these have been in the ground we're going on to year 5. So they are so established. Yes, this bed is on irrigation. We have to turn it on. The only reason that I am running this irrigation every day is because of those new Southern Living Plant Collection shrubs. Other than that, I would not worry about this in the least bit. Strong root system, they will be fine. Case in point, right here. My popcorn viburnums, my limelight hydrangeas, no irrigation, well-established shrubs, y'all, they'll be fine. The hydrangeas, they may be a diva, I don't know. They may show some signs of some heat wilt, but I guarantee you they will perk right back up and be just fine. Your established things, don't worry about it. The second most important thing that I'm going to be paying attention to during this heat wave is going to be my containers. Containers are going to naturally dry out faster than the landscape because they just have limited soil. But the great thing about containers is, as long as they're not massive, you can pick them up and move them to a more protected spot in the garden. And that is what I'm going to do with these 4 containers right here in the side driveway shade garden. I have 4 containers that have a perennial each in its container. This euchre, you can see that one day it got away from me and it dried out, and we've got some burn on it. This pulmonaria, the silver scimitar, my goodness, she is happy in this pot, but I'm having to water her like crazy. And then behind the Brunner, we have a whitewater acanthus, and we have a hosta. While these typically do really well here, with this heat wave coming, I'm going to move them to a more protected area. If you have followed me for any length of time, you have heard me say that it's so important to be a student of your own garden. Containers definitely need to be washed and have a watchful eye on them. All depends on the container, where it is, and the plants that are in it. Obviously, plants that are in the shade are going to need a little bit less attention. The containers that are in the full blazing sun, they're going to need more attention. Those containers that are newly planted, whether they're the sun or the shade, like this urn that has caladiums in it, I just planted this not even a week ago. They're going to need less attention because their root system is not fully encased with the whole container, as opposed to these super bells. This is the super bells Tropical Sunrise. They have been in these urns since the early spring. They have a very extensive root system, and as you can tell, they need water. Because these super bells have been in these containers for months and have a very extensive root system, they're going to need more attention. Daily watering, possibly even twice a day during the heat wave. So you're going to know that because obviously the leaves are kind of curled up. They are not nice and flat. They are definitely telling us that they need that water. How did I get to this point? Well, one, it is the end of June. They've been in here for months. Very extensive root system. Two, Jerry and I went to the mountains for 2 nights to celebrate our 26th wedding anniversary, and they did not get watered while we were gone. Didn't get any rain, hence this is why they are in this state. So what we want to do is focus on not just a shallow watering in your containers. We want to go for a deep water. So that may mean that you have to come back to that container if it's in this state and water it multiple times. So I have 4 urns here, so you can see that I am filling up the water till right before it overflows on the container. Then what I will do is I then go to the next urn and do the same thing. I will do all 4, and then I will come back to this first one and I'll run through it one more time. Because if your soil is completely dried out, there is no moisture in there, when you water, that water is going to run straight through. It is not going to absorb very well at all. So this is why we want to come through multiple times and water them over and over again when they are in this drought state. We want to make sure that the entire root system, all of that soil is nice and moist. Sometimes when it's like this, once is not enough. You've got to do it a little bit over and over again. Now that we have the importance of maintaining those containers and understanding why we want to keep an eye on those containers, vegetable garden. If you have a vegetable garden, the key to success during the heat wave is consistent moisture. We do not want a ton of water and then a lot of drought. We want to keep it nice and even. If you have drip irrigation for your garden, then that is amazing. If not, pick that time to go in there and give them consistent water. Harvest those fruits and vegetables. My green beans, they are ready to be harvested. They are coming along quite nicely. Obviously, they're in different stages. Some are smaller, some are larger. But by going ahead and harvesting the fruit, vegetables off of the plants, that takes the stress off of the plant to try to keep producing nice, big, mature, like green beans in this instance. I want them to put their attention to the sweet little babies that are coming along behind it. So go ahead and harvest it. Also, your tomatoes, it is so important to try to keep that consistent moisture on your tomato plants, because especially if yours have already set fruit, then if you deal with blossom end rot, a lot of that happens because of the fluctuation in water. You can see I have got some little flowers about to open up, so I'm going to be getting some fruit being set here hopefully really soon on my tomatoes. So with your vegetable garden, consistency is the name of the game. You know I'm about keeping it real with you, my friends. The last container we're going to talk about are hanging baskets. Hanging baskets, they're going to need to be watered at least once a day. Again, it depends on sun, shade, how mature are those plants, how big is and extensive is the root system. Why am I talking about keeping it real with you? Well, because of this. Here at the chicken coop, I have the copper kettle hanging basket filled with super bells. Clearly, you can see it is on the struggle bus. And my friends, you know what? I have made the decision, I am letting this one go. Yep, I'm not gonna water it, I'm not gonna try to bring it back. Why is that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, I'm in North Carolina, zone 8, hot and humid. Super bells, they like it cool, dry nights. The heat and humidity, especially when we're getting into 100-degree plus days, not gonna do well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna say, you know what? I knew when I planted those super bells that it was going to be a spring, early summer garden. I am calling it on the super bells. When the temperatures will even out a little bit, I am going to replant that. Maybe I put caladiums, maybe I put lantana, portulaca, scaevola. I am going to put plants in there that thrive in the heat and the humidity of the summer. And if they were already established in the container, then they would not miss a beat with these really high temperatures that we're going to be experiencing. So, y'all, make the call. If you look at a container and you're like, I just don't have the time, the energy, or the willpower, the gumption to keep you alive, it's okay. You can let that one go. It will be just fine. Do not kill yourself over this, especially if it's a container or a plant, annual, shrub, tree, whatever it may be, that you're like, I am just fine with letting this one perish. May the odds be in your favor. Do what you can, my plant. It's okay. You can make that call in your garden. We have spent a lot of time talking about what we are going to be paying attention to during this heat wave. Now let's talk about what we are not going to do, because knowing what not to do is oftentimes just as important or more important than knowing what to do. Johnny is filled with gorgeous Southern Living plants and perennials that I am ready to add to my garden. We had some fun treasures left over from the Southern Living event on the 20th, and I have got quite the collection of plants that I want to add to the garden. However, as I always say, gardening is going to teach us patience, because I am not going to be planting during this heat wave. I am going to wait for the temperatures to kind of come back, get a little bit more normal, still warm, but not this crazy heat wave that we're going to be doing. Why is that? Because I can take these plants that are still obviously in their nursery pots, Chef's Choice rosemary, for example, right? So this is in a 1 gallon. I am going to take all of these plants and I am going to add them to my stash that I have here at the chicken coop. This space is going to be, still gets some sun, but not the crazy intense hot afternoon sun. I'm going to be protecting these plants. And I have my hose link just right there. I can easily come and water these every day. Being in a container that some of them are 1 gallons, some of them are 2, and some of them are 3 gallons. And they're very mature root systems, right? So they have a very extensive root system. This way I can keep them well watered, well hydrated. Even if it's a full sun plant, being in a shaded area for a week, 10 days, not gonna hurt it, it's going to help it. So I'm gonna add these all to my stash. I am not going to be planting. This is not the time where we, especially with our shrubs. Now, if it were an annual and you know that you're gonna be out there every day watering it and taking care of it, then maybe okay. But you know what? There are seasons in life, there are seasons in gardening, and this week that we're getting ready to experience is a season of not adding plants to the garden, simply maintaining what we already have. Besides not planting, adding plants to the garden, a few more things that I am not going to be doing this week. One, fertilizing. I am not going to be fertilizing my annuals because fertilizing food encourages new growth. This is not the week we want to encourage new growth because obviously new growth is tender. We're gonna wait for this heat wave to pass and then we can get back to our regularly scheduled fertilizing schedule. So no feeding of the plants, just water. Next thing I am not going to be doing, I am not going to be doing any kind of heavy pruning. At this point, for this week, until the heat passes, I do not want to bring extra added stress to the plant. I do not want to take off major growth. So keep that in mind. You get a little time off from any kind of pruning that you may be doing on some shrubs that bloom on old growth. I will not be transplanting. I am not going to be digging up a plant from one location and then adding it to another part of the garden. That's still kind of planting. The only exception I would say to that is if that plant is clearly under extreme stress, is getting way too much sun and you are moving it to a shadier spot. That could be a good thing during this heat. Just keep an eye on it, check it once, if not twice a day to make sure that it is adjusting to its new home, but no transplanting. Perhaps the most important thing that I will not be doing this week is having high expectations for my garden. This is not when I want to have my garden look magazine worthy. No, I am literally trying to keep the plants alive. I can almost guarantee if you are having this heat wave and you have got some macrophylla hydrangeas, your blooms probably are going to get burned. It is okay. We're thinking about longevity of the plant. So any kind of expectation of perfection, which I always am opposed to, I want you to throw it out the window and just keep those plants alive and well watered, nourished, and taken care of this week. We can worry about perfection and magazine worthiness later on, not this week. A few other little tips for you to get through this week with minimal damage, right? One, think about the other people, the other creatures, inhabitants, shall we say, of your garden. If you have bird baths, I would highly encourage you to get that clean, fresh water in there. If you can't do it every day, do it every couple of days. We got to think about our sweet little songbirds and the other creatures that come to these bird baths and get that nourishment, because I know for us this week it is going to be very hot with no rain, so we might have to supplement and take care of everybody. Clearly, it goes without saying, if you have pets, you need to keep them protected. Keep them out of that heat. Keep them with fresh water at all times. You as the gardener, when you are outside, stay hydrated, my friends. Little soapbox of mine, you need to have at least probably 64 ounces of water every day. If you're sweating, then you need even more. So make sure that you are well hydrated as well. when you choose your time to go out in the morning, try to do it as smartly as you can. Avoid the heat of the day. If you can go out early in the morning, do that. Now, depending on your life and your schedule and your circumstances, early could be 5:30 in the morning, it could be 7, it could be 8. All depends on you and your life. If you don't have time in the morning, maybe you like literally are out the door at 4 a.m. and you can't get out there and water your garden. Do it in the afternoon, evening when you come back, right? As that sun is setting, go out there, check your garden. It'll be a great time to know if it's heat wilt or if it really is drought. Then go ahead and water. The only thing that I would say is if you are having to water at night, that's when we really want to focus on getting that water to the root system. We don't want to have a ton of water on the leaves of our plants overnight. We're the Southeast. We're sticky enough at night. We don't want to be adding moisture to our foliage of the plants overnight when it is dark. Now, if you're watering in the morning, don't worry about it, my friends. This is one of those myths out there in the horticultural world, in the gardening world, that you cannot get water on the leaves of your plants and the sun hits it because it'll scorch and burn the leaves. No, sweet pea, that is not true. We have grown thousands, tens of thousands, millions of plants. And trust me, we cannot go out there and simply water when the sun is not hitting and or not to hit the foliage of the plants. They absolutely can take that water. It will not burn the plants. And also, I dare say, it will help the plants if you go ahead and spray some water on the foliage, because that is going to lower the temperature on that plant. Clearly, our main place that we want to focus the water is at the root system, right? So don't just sit there and be in la la land and just kind of woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. No, we want to focus on the roots, but you absolutely can get the foliage wet. Of course, that one exception would be at night. Use some tools in your toolbox. If you have got aquapots or aquapot inserts, any kind of self-watering container apparatus, use that. You can use those terracotta stakes that I have with the wine bottle in there. Your irrigation, if you've got it, use it, my friends. And I would say go ahead and when you are out and being able to see the irrigation running, go ahead and turn it on and look at each zone. It doesn't have to run the entire time, but you want to make sure that your irrigation is running correctly. Perfect case in point, right before we went to the beach a couple of weeks ago, I knew that we had a leak in one of our drip tubing because a critter had chewed through it to get water. So Jerry fixed it for me. He fixed that one. We turned it on, and then another one sprung up. Y'all, we ended up having to fix 5 different leaks in that drip tubing. If we had not turned the system on, we would have thought that it was running correctly, but it's not. So check your irrigation, make sure you don't have any leaks, make sure that if you have sprinklers that they are going where they're supposed to be and not watering the concrete or the asphalt. Those are some simple tricks to use and to think about, and being very conscious of the amount of water we use and using it smartly. This week, as we enter into this heat wave, please keep in mind that gardening is not about preventing stress. We have absolutely zero control over the temperatures that are going to take place this coming week. However, we can help manage and the stress level of our plants to help them, give them the tools necessary to survive this heat wave that is going to be approaching. Your garden is not going to look perfect this week, and that's okay. My garden is not going to look perfect this week, and that's okay. I can tell you right now, my macrophylla hydrangeas especially, they're going to be divas. They are going to look rough every day around 3, 4, 5 o'clock. But as long as I follow the tips that I have given you, they will pull through just perfectly fine, and that's okay. A little stress sometimes is good. Too much, of course, like anything, is not good. So that's why we have to manage it. Our long-term goal is healthy plants, not flawless, perfect plants. Keep that in mind as we go through this week. I'm curious, are you going to have a heat wave this week too? I don't know. Honestly, I'm a little ignorant on this heat wave. I don't know who all it's going to affect. I would suspect it's going to be the southeast, right? For sure. But is it other parts of the country as well? My Midwestern folks, my Northeast folks, my out west guys, what does your forecast look like this week? I'd love for you to drop it in the comments, because we are a community here. And, you know, if you are in Illinois and you are about to have crazy high temperatures with lots of wind, then find somebody else, maybe that's in the comments, and y'all can talk about some tips and tricks that you have found successful in your garden, because we're a community. So add those in the comments where you are and kind of like, what does your weather look like this week? And maybe what are some things that you are doing to help your garden be successful and come through this week as best as it possibly can. To make things a little easier, at the end of this video, I have got the heat wave checklist. This is a graphic that you can pause the video, screenshot it, and these are the things that we do want to do and the things that we don't want to do this week. Go ahead, take a screenshot, make it a favorite in your phone or whatever. If you're a pencil and a paper person, write these down. So hopefully this little checklist will help recap this whole video and help you remember of what we do want to do and what we don't want to do. But y'all, all is well. Gardening should not be cause us anxiety and stress, but these heat waves, they do add a little extra layer of attention to the garden, shall we say. So I know personally I will be out here early every morning, because I do have, most of my gardens are full sun. So kind of generally speaking, I try to get all of my chores done and filming, which can be a challenge sometimes, by 10 a.m. And then I am indoors for the heat of the day, and then after supper I will come back out and check everything and see how everything is doing. But we've got it, my friends. We can do this, right? We absolutely can do it. I hope you have found this fun, informative, definitely. I want this to be an information piece that you can use to make sure that your garden thrives through this heat wave. Y'all stay cool, stay hydrated, take care of yourselves, the people around you, and your gardens. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.